Hello everyone. Welcome to Anyone Python Season 3. So today's episode is for I think it's already fourth. So episode 4. So today we are going to see before we start the Python program, there are several side things. It's not critical, but you'd better know about such the basic stuff, including the expression as well as the math, the library. So today I'm going to introduce such a thing, and also, uh, so far we have used the PyCharm for our Python programming, and also there's another way, in other words, another interface, which is called the Python shell. So sometimes it's much easier to practice the Python with the Python shell. So today I'm going to introduce how to use the Python shell and Python console, different name, but it's the same thing. Today, as a user, before we start, we are going to start with the stretch. So please, it's, I tried my best to finish each episode an hour, but I cannot guarantee. So it will be the an hour the practice anyone Python. So please the uh be ready. It's like the stretching and warm up, and please be ready for your the PyCharm as well as your the Zoom screen. So as a user, the setup should be like this. So you have the uh, this one over here, and you have PyCharm over here. Then the rest you are following me to practice. Do not watch the video only. There's no the it's just a waste of your time. So instead, please try to follow me. And if you have any question, please the use the chat box. So we have the all three TAs today, the Unji, Urban, and Trinity. So they are waiting for your questions. So please feel free to ask the question using chat box. So as the user, please mute the audio. That will be really helpful. And also I prefer to see your face, how much you guys are follow. So if possible, please turn on the uh, video. Then you are fantastic, the kids and the people. So mm, nothing to lose. Even though you share your screen, the video. Okay, so let me put down the Zoom screen. Then before we start, I don't give any homework, but last time I asked you to do your homework. So that is the memorize our analogy. So this is anyone Python screen. So from now on, so I'm going to use the anyone Python screen a lot for your the better experience on programming. Okay, so first, what is this part? Do you remember that? The is the left half. The what do you do with the left half of the huge space? This is our the code desktop to put your code. Okay, the most of the time I'm going to use this place to put the code. Then what happened when you put the code? Something happened in your memory. So the box is your main memory. So your programming is basically as I introduced the last time. It's like the beautiful the bookshelf. So we are going to use this bookshelf. Sometimes I'm going to pick up the box. So this box is for what? It's the variable. Okay, do you remember that? So for example, sometimes I can pull out the series of a book. Okay, then how can you use such a book? That will be your the Python programming coding. Then whenever you type and run your code, something happen on your bookshelf, something happen on your the main memory. So it's always a good idea to imagine what happened when I use this code, when I use this command. So imagine. Then the what will use this area, the main memory area. to see what's going on, your programming and how data is processed, what is the change, something like that. And eventually you are going to learn a lot for the programming as well as data and the computer. Okay, this main memory has basically the two part, the variable and function. So later we will see function, but the variable. So from now on, I'm going to use the small box. So this represent the variable. So if you open the variable, there are value inside. Okay, so this is our variable. And then, so what about this area? It's a small box left hand side. Do you remember that? Anyone?
Text box?
It's a text box. So for what? Please use your chat box. Okay. It's your display console. So sometimes you want to display. So we have used the Python code. So like the print, where do you print? It's you for this area. So sometimes you can type your command. So your command will be here. So this is the display area, the console area. Okay. So then I like to use the analogy. So the son, he always complain I use too many analogy, but it's the best way I believe. So the code is the desk. Okay, it's your place. So you are going to code on the desk like that. And also the main memory is the bookshelf. It's really well organized. So our goal is to organize our data using our code. If you mess up the coding, then the bookshelves will be messed up. So no way to find your book from the bookshelf. Okay, then the variable, as I said, I'm going from time to time, I'm going to use the box to represent the variable where data is stored. Okay. Then also later we will see more details, the function. So like the function is like the something black box over here, so like that. That has something to do. So we will see more details of such a black box later. Okay. And it's actually it's not my room, but I'm using this room. So this is like this one. So you can see this area is your code. So you are doing something, but sometimes you need the data from your bookshelf. So you can use the main memory to store the data, and sometimes you bring the data over here. So in case you need, you can display your data. So if you just learn the code like the desktop, you may not understand all the mechanism, what's going on your computer, but always is a good idea. Think what happened, what will be happened on the memory. So then what will be happen on your bookshelves if I use this one, for loop, while loop, while later we will learn a lot of things, but our goal is always to find the data or book efficiently fast. To do that, your bookshelves should be well organized, like the bookshelves. Okay, did I do? No, actually, I didn't arrange these bookshelves, but this bookshelves, so you are going to manage your memory. So that is the best coding. That is the best way to learn the programming. I believe it's my idea. Okay, so this is the typical example that I'm going to use for anyone Python. So if there's any problem, so I'm going to show the code on the desk over here. And if you can see something rectangular, that is a current position. Then at this position, so you can understand what's going on inside the computer, specifically main memory. Like there are two black boxes. One black box is for main, another black box is for max, and there is a return. So return means it's output. This one data will be returned to the main, and eventually this will be displayed like this way. You don't have to worry about the code, this code. Instead, oh, by the way, can you see oh yes, I'm sharing all the desktop, so you are able to see this. Okay, so this is the example of the anyone Python screen. So please get used to from now on. I'm going to use the anyone Python screen a lot. Okay, so today we are going to start with not the actually the arithmetic operation. This is really basic. If you already did the algebra, so I think that you guys can understand. But for your practice, why don't you start the uh, PyCharm first? Okay, I'm going to introduce the different way to use the Python using Python console. So why don't you start the PyCharm? Then as a user, please download the zip file and unzip, then create your project. Okay, so today is the episode 4. So please, I already upload the file to the chat box. If you didn't do that, please download and unzip and open the directory as a new project. Then the start. So you should be ready, the PyCharm. So if you are ready, please give me thumbs up. Then I can check how many of them, how many of you are following me. Please give me thumbs up, and here will count every time the who is thumbs up and how many thumbs up. Then the most thumbs up will be awarded, right? The TA. No. Okay, so very nice. Okay, 7, 8, 7, 7. Oh, so most of it. So very nice. So here, when we do the Python programming, last time that we start with clicking the one of this file. But this time, not this. Instead, why don't you click there are several button menu here that we have used the terminal before. But this time, why don't you click the Python console? So this one, not the terminal, Python console. Okay. So please click this Python console, then you will see like this. Okay. If you can follow me, please give me thumbs up. Then I can check how many of you are following me. Okay, very nice, James. And Ming Hui, good. Ian, good. And also who else? Wow, a lot. So very nice. So actually, this is another way to use Python. Okay, let me a little bit bigger, then you guys can see clear. So this is the interactive way to use the Python. Just the time. So this time, do you remember what was the first Python program that you create? Do you remember? So what was the first Python program that you created last time? Hello world, right? The Minion and the Maria, hello world. So why don't we type the print hello world directly over here? Hello world. Like without main, without anything, just the type. Then enter. Okay. Then what happened? It displays. So when you are using Python, when you practice Python, sometimes, so I want to test the print, but if you want to test the print, with the Python program, you need to open the file and create the main and copy and paste this one and finally click the terminal. It takes a time. So if you want to quickly check the command or function in Python, you can use the Python console. Okay, so Python console is a interactive way to directly return the output. So you guys can quickly test. This is not the general way for programming, but this is the easy way to practice your Python code. Okay, then today's topic is the math and expression. So we are going to learn the sum operation to make the think about the when you learn the second language or foreign language, you practice what? The vocabulary and the grammar, but eventually you're going to create the sentence and say something, right? So to do that, that is an expression. So to make the sentence, to make the Python expression using variable, we are going to use such an operation. It's nothing new. It's not new one. You already know the most of the operation from where? Mathematics. So in your algebra class. Okay, so I think that I don't have to explain what is the plus, what is the minus, and so on. But keep in mind, there are two types of the different types of variable for number. One is integer, another one is a float. So integer is a whole number like this one. 5, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, whole number. On the other hand, if the data has the float, like the 3 point, the decimal point, like the 3.14, like that, then this kind of data is called float. The reason is that the 5.1, this decimal point is backward and forward. It may be possible. It's kind of floating the computer, the memory. So just the float is the decimal point. So two types. But here's the question. I think the last time I explained very quickly. So, but let me check the who remember that. So, how does Python decide such a data type? How does the Python know whether integer variable or float variable? How? INT? Wow, did I explain the INT? I'm not sure that that's today's topic. So, for example, if you if you create the variable, this is a variable, so num underscore student. Then if you assign the value 700, so is this the integer or float? 700. It's an integer. Then Python automatically decide this box is an integer box like that. Like this. So Python decide the data type using what? The value. So when you assign the value, last time the equal sign means it's assigned, like the arrow. So when you assign the value, then the 5 is integer, then num1 will be integer, like that. Okay? If you are using num1, like the num1 and assign 5.1, what will be happen? Num1 will be float data type. So you don't have to specify this is the integer, this is the float, this is. So instead, Python decide the data type integer or float using data value. Okay, so which means it's much, much easier. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, then there are operations. So finally using, so num1 is 5, num2 is 2. So let's go back to here. Just type num1 is equal to 5 on your console. Then enter. Nothing happened. Num2 is 2. Why don't you type? Nothing happened. Yeah, actually something happened. So if you see the right hand side, num1 5 int, num2 int, just like the anyone Python screen. So this is the memory. This is your memory. So on your memory, small box is created. So num1 box is integer. Number 5 inside. Inside the 5 is stored. Okay. And also num2, when you type num2 equal to enter, right hand side, if you take a look at right hand side in your memory, num2 box is created. Then value is 2 inside, this is 2, then type is integer assigned, like that way. Something happened when you type this one. Then from now on, so we are going to see this. Oops. So plus is the addition. So for example, num1 plus num2, what is the value? Num1 plus num2? 7, right, and then 7 will be assigned to the num3. So num3 will be, it's an integer or float? Num3 will be integer. Yes, Ian, very nice. Num3, because 7 is integer, Python automatically decide num3 is integer. Let's try. Just the type num3 is num1 plus num2. Even though looks like nothing happened over here, but if you take a look at right hand side, so you can see num3, another small box variable is created, num3. Then value is 7, then type is integer labeled automatically. So you can use this small box for later. Or what if? So next operation is the subtraction, minus. So num1 minus num2. What is the value? Num1 minus num2? Yes, Brandon, very nice. Ian and Eden, it's a 3. So then, if you num3, num1 minus num2, then what happened? Num3 value is changed. Reassign the value to the num3. Then it's gonna be 3. Then type is integer again. Okay, so new box is created. Same name. So it's a num3. Then 3 is assigned and value is a 3, like that. Okay. So after that, you guys can understand the dot. It's actually multiplication instead of x because it's confused. X, instead of using x, we are going to use a dot. And not dot, it's a asterisk for the multiplication. So you can do that. Then the interesting is num1 minus num1 divided by num2. What is the value? 5 divided by 2. It's a 2.5. Yes, great. Then, which means this is not integer. This is called float. Okay, then if you create a num3, num1 divided by num2, then 2.5 will be assigned, reassigned. Then here's the question. What is the type of num3 this time? It is float. Why don't you check with the Python, the console? Num1 divided by num2. Then suddenly it's changed. Num3 is a float. Even though I do not specify this is a float, this is the integer, but Python automatically take care the data type num3. So like this one, and float will be the tag, the label. So this box is the float, like that. Okay, so we have the quotient. So quotient is the double this. Okay, quotient means the whole value of division. So in this case, the 2. Then remainder is the subtract. Okay, then the remainder 1, or not this one, is a modular. So num1, 5 and 2. If you divide this, and what is the remainder? It's a 1. So 1. So data type will be num3 will be integer, like that. And double asterisk is the exponent. So 5 to the power of 2. So 5 squared, so 25. It's an integer, so num3 will be integer. Then negation is the change the sign. So minus num1. So what's the value? Minus num1. Minus 5. Then what is the data type for the num3? Yes, integer. How do you know that? So you can just try. Num3 is my negation on num1. So you can see the minus 5 and it's an integer like that. So that is one of the benefits of using Python. Python automatically take care is data type. So you don't have to worry about too much. Okay, then move on to the next. Then there's another thing that you already know in your math class, the algebra. So there is the precedence. Precedence is the order of operation. So it's exactly same as the order of operation in math class. Okay, so first, parenthesis, right? Then exponent is the next one, and any negation is the next, and then the multiply, division, and the quotient and modular, and then the finally plus and minus. You don't have to memorize this. Don't memorize. Do not. Don't try even. So you already know this. So let's practice. So what is the final output of x? What is the final output of x? Anyone? So why don't you try? If you are not sure, you have the tool. You can use the Python console also. 8.5. Yes, a lot. 8.5, 8.5. It looks like 8.5. So let's try on the screen first, then we will try on Python console. So the first thing is multiply and division. In this case, left to right, right? So we can do the 3 times the 15, 5 first is a 15, and divide by 2. So that's gonna be 7.5. Then finally 1 plus 7.5 will be 8.5. So 8.5 will be stored at X box. So small X box. Here's the question. What is the data type of X? Yes, it's a float. So this X is labeled as the float. Then let's try. The X equal 1 plus the 3 times 5 slash 2. Then you can answer. But you cannot see the value. This value is stored as small box X. We can cheat on the memory 8.5, but usually you may not see this. You cannot see this memory. So how can you display the value of X? How can you display? Print, James, very nice. Jonathan, and very nice. We can at the time use the print. If you print X, then X, your Python check the memory. Where's the X? X is here. So find X small box. Then open the box, bring the value. What is the value? 8.5. So 8.5 will be returned. Then it will be displayed here. If you enter, oops. So if you enter, then this will be displayed 8.5 like this way. Okay, so this is the operation. Very easy. It's almost the same as the algebra operation and precedence, order, and so on. So you don't have to memorize such a thing, just type and practice. So this kind of the type is the automatic, the implicit type. So what if? So let's try this one. Why don't you type num1, num2, num3 like this on your the Python console. So num1 is a 5, num2 is 2, and num3 is 1.9 like this. Then let's go back. So please follow me. So please type the something on your Python console. Then here is the question. What if num1 plus 7? Num1 plus 7 means num1 is the 5 plus 7. So it's gonna be what? 12, right? So what is the data type when you plus num1 plus 7? It will be integer. Okay? Then let's back to here. Num1 plus the 7. Okay? Num1 plus 7. So if you enter, it is the 12 will be returned. So it's an integer. However, if you back to the here, num1 is still the 5. So it's an integer. How do I know this is this data type? At that time, you can type and num1 plus 7. Then it shows it is an integer. So we can use the type command. So let me, if you want to know the data type, so you can use the type command, type function. So the data type of inside will be returned like this. Okay. So let's move on to the next. What about the 6 divided by 2? So it's an integer. It's an integer. So output is 3, but Python return float. So this is the only exception. When you divide the whole number divide by whole number, but output is in case 3, but it's not 3. Instead, it's 0, 3.0. Let me try. So like this one, 6 divided by 2. Then output is not 3, it's a 3.0. So only exception is the division. When you divide in Python, even though integer divide by integer, output is the float. If you want to make sure time 6 divided by 2, then it's a return float. So be careful when you are doing coding. Division always return the float. Okay. Then what about this case? Num3 is a float. Num3 plus 1 is what? Num3 plus 1, 1.9 plus 1. So 2.9. What will be the data type? It's the float. Who decide? Python automatically decide the based on the value. Very nice, Eden. Okay, so I want to make sure. I cannot believe. So you can try. Num3 plus 1. So it's a 2.9. If you want to make sure, type num3 plus 1. Then it's return float like that is. Okay. So if you can follow me so far, please give me thumbs up. Please give me thumbs up that if you can follow me. Okay, very nice. But what if that's the Python? Python decide automatically, but I want to change the type. So from integer to float and the float to integer. For example, after divide, for example, 6 divided by 2, it returned 3.0, but I want integer 3. Then at that time, we can use the function. It's called the integer function, int. And also float function, float float function. So we can use such a function to change and forcefully change the data type like this. So for example, so after you divide 6 divided by 2, so if you int 6 divided by 2, then it will return 3. Obviously, data type is integer. So you can make the data type integer using int. Similarly, so if you have the float, I want to make the float for 3, then you can return the float value 3.0 for the float. Okay, you remember so have you ever used the int function before? Do you remember that? Do you remember have you ever used the int function? Why don't you check the episode 3 last week? So last time, yes, Sean, do you remember that? When we input the value, input is the string, as we discussed. Then we change the type to the integer. At that time, we have used the integer. So like here is the example. You can see this is the average two number. We will see it soon, but you can see that after input, we change the data type to float or integer. Okay, so this is called the explicit type conversion. So you can use the float or int if you want to change it forcefully, the data type. Okay, what happens if you change it? So your label of the box will be changed to the int like this one when you use this. So for example, so what about this way? Define num1 float num1. So do you think what will be happen if I type this one? What will be happen? So 5.0, 5.0, before you enter, why don't you take a look at the right-hand side, our memory, okay? Then enter. Then what happened? What happened? It's converted to yes, 5.0. And also, label data type is a float. So this is the way. So two-way implicit, you don't have to worry about the implicit way for the type. Python will take care. Okay. So based on the value, using the value. However, if you want to change it, the data type, at that time you can use the int or float. Okay. Here's another one. The int. The num3. If you take a look at the num3, so what is the value? It's a 1.9. This is the float. But if I int, is it error or what's going on? Error. Why don't you try? I do not know. So just try. Then it will be 1. So which means int make forcefully the integer. Then one more thing. So why don't you take a look at num3? Num3 is the 1 or 1.9. It's a 1.9. As you can see, it's a 1.9. Then type num3 is a still float, which means even though you change the data type of num3, but num3 is not changing. Your output is changing. If you want to change the num3, you need to assign again, like this. Okay, then see what's going on. Num3, oops, num3 is still 1.9. what happened? So print the num3. So num3 is not changed in your the box. Okay, so it's just it's called the casting. It's a type casting. So it's the wrapper. So it's the casting. Okay, so that is called the explicit the type conversion. Okay, so another interesting. So here, before you type, please do not type on your the Python console. Just guess. What is the type of num3 minus 1? What is the type of num3 minus 1? Do not type on your the Python console yet. Just guess. Float? Float? Yes, it's going to be a float. Then, what is the value of num3? 0.9? 0.9? 0.9? Right? Then, now we will try. So from the beginning, num1 is 5. And num2 is 2. And num3 is 1.9. Okay, then num3 minus 1. Here. What happened? What happened? It's not 9.9. It's 899999999. Then Python is not correct. Computer is not correct. Why? The Python return 8.899999999 instead of the 0.9. Any idea? Okay, this is your homework. So why don't you search the Google or ask your the friend or teacher and why? See the why? It's not the point, not the 8 point. It's not 0.9, 8999999. There are a lot of such an example. So for example, 0.3 plus a point, so 0.2 plus 1, 2 plus 3, or it's a 0.5. So there are some the example showing the such a thing. So why don't you find on the Google or the other book and ask? So it's like this. It's a homework. Okay. Then sometimes we can use the most of the computer programmer engineer. They are really lazy, really. So we have seen the name of the command before. They are using ls instead of list. It's lazy. So same thing here. So you can see this one is the num1 plus 1. It's the what? Num1 plus 1 is the 6. 6 will be assigned. So you can do the expression like this way. But many people use this way. It's called the shorthand. Shorthand is operation. Okay, equal. Then the num1 will be actually here. So this is the identical same. So instead of num1 equal num1 plus 1, they use num1 plus equal 1. So let's try. So for example, the print num1. Right now, the num1 is 5. So num1 equal num1 plus 1. So then print num1. So it's a 6. Same thing. So let me change it. Num1 again, 5. Then num1 plus equal 1. This is the same as the num1 equal num1 plus 1. Oops. Then print num1. So you can see the same thing. So this shorthand is very, but personally I like this way. It's intuitively I can easily understand, but it's a kind of Python style. They like to use the shorthand. It looks like the more professional. So why don't you practice? So why don't you type the shorthand, the expression on your console? I will give a couple of minutes. If you are done, please give me thumbs up. Then I can check who did. So then I have break time while you are practicing. Wow, Nick already did, Kyle did, and Jonathan did. Please give me the longer break time. And last six, very nice. And Katie did, very nice. And Maria, as a user, very good. And who else? So please type something. It looks like you. So for me, I understand this way, but I used this way for a while. Then it's lazy to use the shorthand nowadays. But you are just the starting the Python program, so it's good time to practice such a shorthand. Okay, very nice. So here is the today's problem. So we are going to correct the average two number. I already coded. So it's the same, almost the same as the last one. So last time we add two number. So as the first number, as the second number, and print the average like this way. So in terms of the Anyone Python screen, your code will be like this. Then the first, if you run this code, the print, then the display over here. Then the first input, we learned about the input using input command. We can get the input from the keyboard. Then this, the input always a string. So we are going to use the float. Then first num will be assigned. So here's the question. What is the data type of first num? What is the data type of first num? Float, because we use float. Then second number is the same thing. Second num will be here. So what is the data type of the second num? So it's a float. Thank you, Jonathan. And Abdal did, and Idan, yes. Then total will be created on your memory total. It's the first num plus the second num divided by 2. Okay? So it will be created like this. Then we are going to print now. Okay, that is the here. So why don't you open your every two numbers.py? Then we are going to back to the terminal. And I already did it today. I'm very, very generous and nice. So you don't have to type anything, just to run the program. If we are using Mac, Python 3. If we are using Windows, please type py or Python. Okay, then command is the average two number. You don't have to type everything. Use the tab key. If you are using tab key, it's automatically fill the rest of them and run this one. So first number 1, second number is 2. So output, wow, it's a 2.0. So something wrong on your program. So I will give a minute to fix the problem. Okay, so why don't you fix the problem? On your PyCharm, fix the problem, then run it. So please fix the problem and then run the PyCharm program, average two number. Daniel, please the fix the problem on the file. Okay, if you are done, please give me thumbs up. Is it working? Okay, the Daniel did. And Jonathan, Nick, Ian, and Avdal did. Very nice. Jeremiah also did. Okay, the more and more. So very nice. So what's the problem? So here is the problem, right? Because of the precedence. So it will calculate the second num, divide by 2 first, then the plus the first num. So how can we fix? We can give the parenthesis here. Parenthesis is always the first. Okay. Also, here is the kind of Python style. It's not required, but it's recommended. You can give the space. You can give the space. You can give the space between the such an operation and variable. So there might be no problem. So like this one. However, it's kind of Python style. If you give this one, the Python interpreter understand the fast your code. So please give and also it's a better readability. Okay. So then let's run the code. Here's another tip. You don't have to type again the previous command. Instead, you can using arrow. If we are using arrow, you can see the previous one, right? So then the enter again. So let me give the 1, give 2. Yes, right now is correct. Okay, so you fix the problem. Oh, I forgot the last time. If you do not know the answer, always go to the solution and click this. But I do not recommend to see the solution during the annual Python lecture. So it doesn't help you a lot. Later, if you cannot find the way or solution, then you can click and see the correct code like this. Okay, very nice. So far, so good. Next one, I'm going to introduce constant. So, what is a constant value? What does that mean? Constant, what is the opposite name of constant? Variable and also flexible, okay, changeable, like that. So, which means constant is not changing. It's not also variable. Constant is a variable. So think about the most popular one is a pi. This. The pi is always 3.14159, blah, 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 blah. So a long time ago, my daughter memorized 50 during the pi day. So you don't have to memorize that. But the pi is always that number, 3.14 something. So this one never been changed, constant value. So similarly, in our program, sometimes we need such a fixed value. So to do that, we are going to create the constant in our Python program. How to create? So name is the all capital letter. Capital letter. Then we are going to use the snake, the name. Do you remember the snake? We are going to use underscore for better readability. So we can understand snake underscore case. Okay. So then this constant value is put on your first, the program on your first. So for example, why don't you open the constant? Then like this one, inches in foot. The always the 12 inches per foot. So 12 is not changed. So we are going to put the constant value the first. Why we put this on the first line? It's like this one. So we are going to put this. This is a 3.14. It's like the on top of the bookshelf. So always, I'd like to take a look at whenever I need. I'd like to look at such a number, pi 3.14. So no matter where you are, no matter what you are doing, so that's visible always 3.14. 1, 4. So that is a constant. That is the reason we put such a constant at the beginning out of main. So if you put this one inside, it's no longer constant value. Okay, so we are going to use the capital letter and the snake case mostly, and then put such a constant value. Okay, then what if I need to change this one? So you are able to change the value, but you need to run your program again. Okay, so it's raised 12. So let's practice with the constant. The second problem is we are going to convert feet to inches. Okay, feet to inches. So for example, if the input is 4 feet, output is, oh, this is wrong. It should be 48 inches, right? It's 48 inches. So like this one. Okay, so why don't we start? So open the constant py. Always delete the past. Past we don't need. So delete the past and put your code here. So why don't you start your programming? So how can you get the number of bit? We can use the input, and also we need to change type conversion, then calculate the inch, then you can use, I already gave the print, so you'd better use this is the variable for inches, so you can use that. So why don't you try right now? And if you can get the output, please give me thumbs up. Who will be the first? I don't like that this way, but so I'm not sure whether today I can finish on time. I will try my best. So please give me thumbs up if you did your code. Okay, very nice. So some did, Ian did, and who else? Abdul did. Okay, so let's solve the problem together. Okay, so we have the constant value we are able to use. So first we need to get the fit. What you can use the different name of variable, it's okay. And so first we can get the input, like the enter the number of fit. It's always a good idea. Give the one space, then you will not confuse. You will not be confused like this. But what happens when you are using just input? It will be string. So we need to convert float and always keep in mind you need to left, there should be right, like this. Okay, then we can convert to the inches. Then how? Feet multiply by, we have a constant inches input. The inches input will be used. Then finally we can print. Pretty much that's it. It's not confused. So we can run the code. The file name is constant. The py run. So for output is 48 inches. Then if you want to check again the 3.5. So my height is 6.5. Not sure, but 78 inches. Very nice. Such a way. Okay. So that is a constant value will be located in the first top on your memory, on your bookshelf. So it can be visible anytime, every time, anywhere on your programming. As long as your program is running, it can be visible. It can be the top of the bookshelves. So it can be accessible, it can be visible, you can use anytime. while your program is running. Okay. Then last one. So I want to use the more, the mass function and mass the value like that. So does the Python provide? Yes. At that time, we are going to use mass library. So when I'm saying library means that if you go to library, what is the benefit? You can find anything. So all the books, sci-fi, magazine, and the textbook, you can find everything. So mass library is the Python program somebody already made, okay, developed. Then if you go to the mass library, it has a lot of detail. So how can I go to library? At that time, we are going to use import command. So import mass, then you are ready to use. Without this one, Python cannot find. Okay. So if you import, then you are ready to use. So how do I use? So you can put do you remember there are three parts of the Python program? One is this. Second, this, the main, where you add the code. The last one, actually first one is import that I didn't explain. Finally, we can see the import. If you remember the Carol season one, we import the Carol every time. So it's the Carol library. Similarly, we are going to use the mass library. What kind of mass library we can use? For example, Pi. So at this time, we are going to use it's called the dot notation. Dot. So mass library name dot the function will be here, or variable, constant variable, like the pi. Then pi. Then mass.pi means this is a mass library. There is a pi, constant value. So you can bring this value, then you can use it. Similarly, e value. If you do not know, if the e natural number e, don't worry. You will see soon, like in your middle school, high school, you will see the e number. And also, what is this? SQRT. Can you imagine what is this? SQRT. Square root, right, Sean. And what about EXP? Let's move on quickly. EXP means exponent. So based on what? E value. Okay. What about the log? Everybody knows the logarithm. So if you are in elementary, don't worry. You will see soon such a number. Okay. You don't have to know earlier. So it's probably the painful later. Then are they all? So definitely not. So if you want to know more about the Python mass library, so you can type Python mass library on your Google, then click, and this one shows everything about the mass function. First, do you need to remember this? Never ever memorize. So don't even think about it. You don't have to memorize all this. Even I do not know. If you need, like I need a factorial, then you can search how to use. And if I use something different like the GCD, if you do not know what is a GCD, don't worry. So great common divisor like that. So then you can search and then use it. So this is a Python. So you can the Python documentation. It has Korean, Japanese, Spanish, and so like the Korean. Even if you understand the Korean, it's Korean the language. So you can use anytime you want. Search. Do not memorize. Don't try to memorize. Okay, almost done. The final, the question. Square root. Add the number and return the final. So it looks like the simple. So this is here. So why don't you finish the code in 1 minute? I will give the 1 minute and finalize this one. don't forget to add the import. It's already there, so you can use this one, import math. However, if you remove this, you cannot use it. So first, delete the path. Then let's try together. Num is you can enter input, enter number. Okay, but this will be string, so we need to change it into float. And don't forget left and right. Then we can use the root is the math, first math. Dot what? The square root is the one of the benefit of using IDE, the Python. It shows the all available library, the function over here. So you can select from here, but I prefer to type SQRT. Input is the num, like this. Okay, then the print, you can print like this. Then let's try Python 3. So this is a square root, SQUARE root. So enter number 4, and it's gonna be 2. So correct. Okay, very nice. So this is what we have done today. So today we have practiced really a lot, but it's not difficult thing. So we are mostly ready to start more complicated the Python program. Okay, we know variable, we know such an expression. So you pretty much ready to start the more complex the Python program. So we will learn such a thing like the if, the loop, for loop, while loop, list, such a thing in from next class. Thank you so much for your attending the episode 4 of the season 3 Anyone Python. As usual, stay safe, and we will see next week Friday. Also, thank you Trinity, Urban, and Unji, so for your help. Okay, thank you.